Looking at the TNA, is that sort of viewed by the WWE as a serious rival?
I think it is, yeah. But the thing is, I don't think it is by the actual wrestlers. The TNA is a wrestling show. They're not a wrestling company to the sense that they're traveling and that you can make a full-time living being a TNA wrestler. I don't think you can. Or on average, you can't. And, I think all the wrestlers are hoping that there'll be a bigger, stronger presence and they'll get stronger. And I think all of us think that competition is better. But I think WWE does tend to stamp out anybody that even thinks of being competition to them. And that's just the way they've always been. They've always been very ruthlessly competitive that way. And I don't think that TNA's, sort of reached out and got Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan sort of on side. And to me, that's where I sort of take issues. That these guys have spent several years building their young stars. And Kurt Angle and some of these other guys that are really, really good. I just sense what happened with me in WCW, that Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff don't have enough brains between the two of them put together to administer to all these other guys' careers and keep them going where they need to go. And I fear that they sort of bought the names and they're going to get the same baloney that a lot of us got when we went to WCW.
Is it an ego problem? Is it that Hulk just can't turn around and say, right, that's it, I've had my time in the spotlight, it is just now time to let the younger guys shine? Is that the problem? As you say, sometimes wrestlers don't seem to know when to quit.
I think he thinks that no matter how old he is or what kind of shape he's in, that he believes in his heart that he's the star of the show, that he is wrestling. And I don't think he gives a damn about anybody else and doesn't relate to them. He doesn't have the right. Lord knows that, and I'm one to talk, being as old as I am, so still being involved in wrestling. But I think I know my place, and I'm pretty careful about what I do. But I think I couldn't imagine Hulk Hogan wrestling Kurt Angle or some of these guys right now, just with like Samoa Joe, and these guys are in their prime and they're great wrestlers. And I think Hogan should have probably moved on.
If you were in, let's say, Samoa Joe's shoes at the moment, what would you be thinking? Do you think maybe it's time to look elsewhere, maybe go to the WWE, or?
Well, I would say that, it all depends on how you want to be remembered, maybe. I can't help but think that you'd make more money. I'm sure you'd make more money in WWE. But that's not always the case. I'm sure Kurt Angle's got a decent deal, and they don't work that often. So in a lot of ways it can be beneficial, but I would rather see more old wrestlers going to TNA than young wrestlers being there, because I think, and I'm glad for the competition and everything, but I can't help but feel that they'll never have their proper place until they work for WWE. It's like playing for the NFL. You play for the NFL, or you maybe make the CFL Hall of Fame. It's not the same thing as making the NFL. And it's like that with wrestling, where if you may be the king of the castle in TNA, but until you've actually made it in WWE, you haven't. No one's going to remember you 100 years from now.
So it's safe to say we'll never see you in TNA.
No, I have a lot of friends there. I would never rule it out. Certainly, never see me there while Hulk Hogan's there, or Eric Bischoff. I'd not put myself through that again.
How do you see your relationship with Eric now? I mean, a lot of people have said that maybe you underachieved in WCW. Do you agree with that, or?
Not at all. It's one of the most frustrating things I hear every once in a while. And for me, I mean, I couldn't have come in with more steam, having knocked out Vince McMahon, having defeated Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. Every real major star they had, I was the top guy. Couldn't come in with more flash and steam and interest than what I did, and they didn't do anything with me. I think not just with myself, but with countless other wrestlers, proved that they never had a clue what they were doing.
Do you think that's because certain wrestlers were trying to have too much input behind the scenes? Was that the problem?
I think it was a case of somebody that didn't know anything about wrestling being in charge. And I think you see a lot of that. You might even be seeing it now in TNA. They don't know what they're doing. Whereas Vince McMahon, he grew up with wrestling, he understands wrestling, he's always understood wrestling, he's always been one of the forefront of taking wrestling on the same path that it was always on, but in new directions. And you got to have that kind of foresight with wrestling. And I know that as a second generation wrestler myself, that helped me throughout my career. But I always understood wrestling. I grew up watching it as a kid. I was a fan first. I really got it. I knew what it was, and I could put together wrestling matches in my head that would entertain fans. And Vince McMahon was able to bring that out of me. In WCW, I never sensed from Eric Bischoff, and then there were a few others that had the sway there. They really didn't know anything about wrestling at all. And I think Hulk Hogan, as an example, was a guy that the only thing Hulk Hogan knew how to do was make Hulk Hogan. He didn't know how to make any other wrestler. He never thought to help anyone else with his ideas because he wasn't capable of doing it. And I think it's my understanding, and I think quite a few other wrestlers, that Hogan was sort of the thumbs up or thumbs down on a whole slew of different wrestlers, and basically ruled who went up, who made money or who didn't, or who got the big matches or who got the TV time. And he didn't use that very wisely. He was no genius.